Swami Vivekananda teachings. Steps for self-realization. First among the qualifications required for the aspirant for jnana, wisdom, are sama and dhamma, which may be taken together. They mean the keeping of the organs in their own centers without allowing them to stray out. Thus, the mind acts through two agencies, one external and the other internal. When I see things, my mind goes out and becomes externalized. But suppose I close my eyes and begin to think, the mind does not go out, but it is internally active. But in either case, there is activity of the organs. So in order to control the mind, we must first be able to control these organs. To restrain the mind from wandering outward or inward and keep the organs in their respective centers is what is meant by the words sama and dhamma. Sama consists in not allowing the mind to externalize, and dhamma consists in checking the external instruments. Now comes uparati, which consists in not thinking of things of the senses. Most of our time is spent in thinking about sense objects, things which we have seen or we have heard, which we shall see or shall hear, things which we have eaten or are eating or shall eat, places where we have lived and where we shall live, and so on. We think of them or talk of them most of our time. One who wishes to be a Vedantin, a seeker of the self, must give up this habit. Then comes the next preparation, titiksha, the most difficult of all. It is nothing less than the ideal forbearance, which is, don't resist evil. This requires a little explanation. We may not resist an evil, but at the same time, we may feel very miserable. A man may say very harsh things to me, and I may not outwardly hate him for it, may not answer him back, and may restrain myself from apparently getting angry. But the anger and hatred may be in my mind, and I may feel very badly towards that man. That is not non-resistance. I should be without any feeling of hatred or anger, without any thought of resistance. My mind must then be as calm as if nothing had happened. This is titiksha. The next qualification required is shraddha, faith. One must have tremendous faith in religion and God. Until one has it, one cannot aspire to be a jnani, one who has realized the self. A great sage once told me that not one person in 20 millions in this world believed in God. I asked him why, and he told me, suppose there is a thief in this room, and he comes to know that there is a mass of gold in the next room, and only a very thin partition between the two rooms. What will be the condition of that thief? I answered, he will not be able to sleep at all. His brain will be actively thinking of some way or means of getting at the gold, and he will think of nothing else. Then the sage said, do you believe that a person could believe in God and not go mad to get God? If a man sincerely believes that there is that immense, infinite mine of bliss, and that it can be reached, would not that man go mad in his struggle to reach it? So said the sage. Strong faith in God and the consequent eagerness to reach God constitute Shraddha, faith. Then comes Samadhana, or constant practice to hold the mind in God. Nothing is done in a day. Religion cannot be swallowed in the form of a pill. It requires hard and constant practice. The mind can be conquered only by slow and steady practice. Next is mumukshatva, the intense desire to be free. All the misery we have is of our own choosing. Such is our nature. We run headlong after all sorts of misery and are unwilling to be freed from them. Every day we run after pleasure, and before we reach it, we find that it is gone. It has slipped through our fingers. Still we do not cease from our mad pursuit, but on and on we go, blinded fools that we are. When a man begins to see the vanity of worldly things, he will realize that he need not be thus played upon by nature. When one realizes the truth of all this slavery, then comes the desire to be free. An intense desire comes. If a piece of burning charcoal be placed on a man's head, see how he struggles to throw it off. Similar will be the struggles for freedom of a man who really understands that he is a slave of nature. A sage or a wise one wants liberation from bondage. He finds that sense objects are all vain, and there is no end to running after pleasures and pains. Thus we have seen what mumukshatva, or the desire to be free, is. The next training is also a very difficult one. Nitya Nitya Viveka, discriminating between that which is real and that which is not real, between the eternal and the transitory. God alone is eternal. Everything else is transitory. Everything dies. Everything undergoes constant change. Everything is in a state of flux. The whole universe is a mass of change. But there is one that never changes, and that is God. And the nearer we get to God, the less will be the change for us. The less will nature be able to work on us. And when we reach God and stand with God, we shall conquer nature. We shall be masters of the phenomena of nature, and they will no longer have any effect on us. You see, if we really have undergone the above discipline, we really do not require anything else in this world. All knowledge is within us. All perfection is there already in the soul. But this perfection has been covered up by nature. Layer after layer of nature is covering this purity of the soul. What do we have to do? Really, we do not develop our souls at all. What can develop the perfect? We simply take the evil off, and the soul manifests itself in its pristine purity, its natural innate freedom. Now begins the enquiry. Why is this discipline so necessary? Because religion is not attained through the ears, nor through the eyes, nor yet through the brain. Scriptures can give us knowledge, but they cannot make us religious. We may study all the books in the world, yet we may not understand a word of religion or of God. We may talk all our lives and yet may not be the better for it. We may be the most intellectual people the world ever saw, and yet we may not come to God at all. An intellectual, heartless man never becomes an inspired man. Just as the intellect is the instrument of knowledge, so is the heart the instrument of inspiration. If properly cultivated, intellectual knowledge can be changed into inspiration. The only question is, are you pure? If you are pure, you will reach God. If you are not pure, you may know all the sciences in the world, but that will not help you at all to know God. All these disciplines mentioned are for the purification of the heart. We must always approach religion with reverence and with love, and then our heart will stand up and say, "This is truth and this is untruth." You will have to approach nearer and nearer to your own center, and as you do that, you will approach nearer and nearer to God. What is the proof of God? Direct perception, pratyaksha. The proof of this wall is that I perceive it. God has been perceived that way by thousands before and will be perceived by all who want to perceive God. But this perception is no sense perception at all. It is supersensuous, superconscious, and all this training we are talking about is needed only to take us beyond the senses. By means of all sorts of past work and bondages, we are being dragged downwards. These preparations will make us pure and light, so that we can realize God, the Self. True religion is entirely transcendental. Every being that is in the universe has the potentiality of transcending the senses. Even the little worm will one day transcend the senses and reach God. No life will be a failure. There is no such thing as failure in the universe. 100 times a man may hurt himself, 1,000 times he may tumble, but in the end he will realize that he is God.